Hello everyone, my name is Jenna and welcome back to my channel. I've got Edgar with me here today and we are going to finally give you our Manduka Pro review. So a couple weeks ago, my husband was very sweet and did a surprise unboxing with the Manduka Pro Travel and the Manduka Pro. The one that I got is the 71-inch mat. It also comes in an 85-inch mat, which is just massive. But hello. This mat is way bigger than my other mats. It is a little bit longer and just a smidge wider, which I really like. I feel like I can flow very freely on this mat, feel very secured, and like I have way more space than I need to, which is a cool quality that I hadn't experienced before. And because I've been practicing on this one nonstop, I haven't touched another mat. It's going to be really interesting to see the comparison of me going back to my B mat or my Jade and see how much smaller they feel. I'm kind of curious about that. But anyways, so this mat comes in at $120, which is pretty comparable to, it's a little bit more, but pretty comparable to everything else. You know, everything's in that $90 to $100 range. This is a big mat, so you're kind of getting more for your money. It's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's a pretty reasonable price for how much you get. Some cool things about the company, some little like cutesy facts that I really liked. Oh, I'm so sorry, buddy. Is that all their mats are handmade. That's amazing. So they put a little disclaimer on the description that all the mats are handmade, so they may vary in size a little bit. So no two mats are really the same. I think that that's a really cool quality to actually know that people have used their hands to make it and it's not just a machine built, contraption. It is made out of a PVC material and it is made in a place where it is a non-toxic emission, so it's good for the atmosphere, good for the environment, clean products, right? That's what we want. Some things that are a little bit more on the con side. I'll do the cons first because the pros are so heavy for me. I want to get the cons out of the way. The first big con, this thing is heavy. This thing's 7.5 pounds. Now it comes in the other size, the 85-inch, and that is almost 10 pounds. So I don't really move this mat around much. Rolling it up is kind of a pain because it's so thick and so heavy that it's just like, it stays in this room pretty much, right here or over there. Like, it's too big, it's too thick, it's too heavy. That's a big con for me. This is not a mat I would bring to a studio. This is not a mat I would travel with. This is a mat that I will move from one corner of the room to the other to get it out of the way. That's a big con for me because I do like to take my mats places and, I like to practice outdoors. This is not a mat I would take outdoors. This is not a mat I would take anywhere other than my living room, which is great, but you're paying $120. A lot of us do practice in our homes. I am 100% practice in my home unless I'm going out into nature. I don't go into studios or other gyms and things like that. So, you're spending a lot of money, but there's a lot of perks to it at the same time. But it will kind of suck if this is the only mat that you own and you want to go into a studio. You really got to motivate yourself to pack up. 7.5 pounds might not sound like much, but when you're hooking it to a strap or you have a bag with blocks and all your other props in it, it becomes a lot. You're carrying, close to 10 pounds worth of stuff at that point just to go practice for an hour. That's a lot of effort for me personally, but maybe it's not for you. I don't know. Another really big con is that this mat is just so slippery. This is a mat you have to season. I've never seasoned a mat before. So I did the whole salt scrub thing that they give you a whole, list of instructions on how to treat the mat before you use it. I did everything to the T. I talked to quite a few people that are very gung-ho Manduka people, and they've all just said, be patient, be patient, be patient. It's been weeks now, and this mat is so slippery. Now they talk about, disinfecting the mat and cleaning it on their website and how it's, this great material that doesn't keep the moisture on there. That's not true in my experience. I washed my mat today. I washed it before my practices. I washed it today, and then I had to wait a long time because I was wiping it down with a towel and the moisture was just staying on there. On a lot of mats, that won't make that big of a difference because they're grippy. This mat is not very grippy. It is super grippy on the bottom, and I'll talk about that later, but it is not very grippy on the top. And they talk about that in the description as well, that the material that they have, the texture that they have on here, it feels really nice in a lot of positions. Like I'll talk about holding positions and stuff and how much I love things for that reason. But as far as doing a vinyasa on this mat, I won't do it. This is not my flow mat. This is not my generate heat mat. This is not my sweaty mat. Because even in down dog, now this is weeks of only touching this mat. I have not practiced on any other mat. My hands constantly slip. There is no grip here. And I'm a clammy hand person. I need some grip. There isn't any grip here. And that really kind of sucks because I would love for this to be my dominant mat for my practice, but I just don't feel safe flowing on it. I really don't. I'm sure the more I break it in and the more I sweat on it, the more it might start to give, but it's been over a month and that is just way too long to break in a mat for me. I mean, I need to feel safe and secure on my mat from the first connection, So that's a big con for me personally. It may be for you as well if you're a big flow person, if you have the patience to really break it in, go for it. It's a beautiful mat, it's great. And I've heard wonderful things about being able to flow freely on it in that sense, but I don't feel secure sweating on the mat because it is so slippery. Now we'll go into the pros. Those are my cons. There's not very many of them, but they're kind of game changer cons for my personal practice. So I wanted to give you a heads up that those are the struggles that I'm having right now. And, I talked about last week the struggles that I'm having with physical therapy and, that sense of security on the mat is so important for me right now because I am struggling with this body connection. It's just important that you guys know that up front, that for me, that didn't work. It didn't work. What it did work for though, with the pros, is this thing is so dang thick. 6 millimeters thick. That's pretty legit. It also has, excuse me, Edgar, these little, I don't know if you guys can see them, but these little circles that grip to the floor. Now my main issue with my Jade mat is that if I was practicing, I was just slip sliding everywhere. It had so much grip on top and then none on the bottom. So it was really annoying to practice with. This thing doesn't go anywhere, and that's amazing. I didn't have that problem with my B mat. My B mat pretty much stood in place, but this thing, this is a struggle to try to make it shift. It just doesn't want to, and I think that that's amazing and huge with the technology they've done on the bottom. I don't love the technology on the top for the slip problems, but the technology on the bottom is amazing. My little poster child here for the comfort. We're gonna talk about yin yoga. This mat is awesome for yin and restorative. I have never had a mat where I could just hold in a pose without feeling discomfort from the earth below me. And that is because of the material that they use. This is super cushy. It's also very grippy and it's very thick. It has all of those qualities for having that bone connection. I have a really hard time, posing on my knees with my ankles, on my wrists, and my elbows, my whole body, right? Once you're kind of leaning into those areas for a long time in the yin practice, you start to get a little bit achy, and it's not your body achy, it's what you're on achy, where you're like, oh my God, this is just digging into my hip bone and pigeon, or I can't do this anymore, this is so painful. And you gotta kind of modify your way out, not because you don't wanna be in that pose, but because what you're on isn't supporting you. This has been magical for my yin practice. It has been magical for my restorative practice. It has really helped me be able to hold and go deeper into those poses. And that's really that's huge for me because I am somebody who has always connected with the holding of poses. I don't gravitate as much towards the heavy flow pose practice as much anymore in my life. I really appreciate and understand the yin practice and the restorative movements and kind of the adaptive flows. So this being able to support me and make me feel secure in my yin practice is such a drastic, thing to say compared to how it makes me feel in my vinyasa. So if you are a lover of holding poses, a lover of a restorative practice, I would say this is 100% worth it just for that alone. It may seem silly to have a mat for your flows and when you want to sweat and just build that heat versus when you want to build the heat more targeted areas, Might seem silly to have mats for certain things, but if you're that deep in your practice, I highly suggest it. This has been amazing for my yin practice. It's also been kind of nice because I don't move it around much. This just kind of becomes the central place of where I sit. Right now, this is where our couch used to be. We sold our couch this weekend. We're waiting for the new one to come in. This has been where we're just sitting. It's good on the tailbone. It feels really nice in the hips. And that's a really ridiculous way to kind of review this mat. If we're using it as our couch, but we kind of are right now. It's placed here. He's, doing his thing like he always does. But those are my pros and cons of this mat. The cons are this thing is heavy. It is on the expensive end of things, but when you compare it to B-yoga and, jade mats that are in those $80, $90, $100 ranges, you're getting a bigger mat, you're getting a thicker mat, and you're getting a mat made of certain materials. And it's handmade. Those qualities right there alone, you kind of have to make it go a little bit even with the price. I think it's pretty fair. B-yoga does great, sales on their mats. So you're getting a great quality mat for a really amazing price, sometimes $50, $60, which is nuts to me because that mat has it's my top of the line for everything kind of mat. But this mat has changed how I practice meditation, yin, restorative, things like that. So those are my pros and cons. I'm sorry if I upset some people. I know I was talking to a friend the other day and they couldn't believe the cons that I could even come up with this mat. But the slippery factor is a huge deal for me, especially when you're starting to gain trust back into your body. Slippy hands, no good. Slippery feet, no good. You gotta feel safe. I feel safe in my yin practice here. 100% recommended for that alone. Maybe I'll do a video later on in the future where I, have it more broken in, but it shouldn't take that long to break in a mat, y'all. I'm just saying. But if you have the patience for it, go for it. It's a beautiful mat. I love the product. And I'll continue practicing on it to see if it gives, and if it does, I'll let you know how long it takes. But there is my pros and cons list of the Manduka Pro. I will be doing one. The weather's finally clearing up, so I'll be doing one of the travel mat probably in a couple weeks. I want to get my feet wet with that one, since the sun just now came out today. But thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any other products that you would like me to review for you, I am always super curious. I love trying out new things. So leave that below in the comments. I love doing videos like this. I think it's super cool to be able to try a product and, I'll give you guys my honest opinion. I'm sorry, Cameron. There's some cons on this mat, but I still love it anyway. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. New videos out every Wednesday. You guys have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. You're so cute. You did a good job, buddy. You're so cute.